like you really got to figure out what kind of risks you're okay with. And I feel like for you and your level of exhaustion, you were thinking the risk of us not breaking the water actually feels worse because I'm getting to the point of exhaustion where I almost want to be transferred regardless.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And so it was like you had maternal exhaustion and you had possible prolapse, but yeah.
Right. And so I don't know if you remember, I'm like laying there, you know, which is very uncomfortable, by the way, to like lay in that position. Getting your cervix checked and like the whole thing just sucks.
Oh, yeah. And then your contractions were intense at that point.
Oh, so intense. And she's like, I almost rather wouldn't now. She kind of said that, like, and I'm like, and I caught that. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I don't know. She kind of like looks at her assistant and I'm like, okay, well, tell me what the risks are. Like, what do you mean you almost rather wouldn't? Like, help me understand this because I need to understand this, you know? And so she's kind of explaining some of these risks that you just explained. And I'm like, okay. And I just like, I felt like I wasn't getting the piece that I needed to get from her in that moment because I think she was trying to process and like sift through her concerns.
Well, she also didn't want to make false promises. She didn't want to be like, yeah, let's break your water and everything's gonna be fine. She wanted to be like, listen, like, you're gonna really have to choose this yourself.
Right. And that's why I feel for midwives because I'm like, you know, they're not God. Like they have to make their best like informed decisions as well, and they have to trust their gut and their information, what they know. So, anyways, I'm looking at her and I don't feel like I'm getting the answer I need. So I really turned to the Lord in that moment, and I just was like, literally, I don't know if I said out loud, I was like, Holy Spirit, like, is this safe? Like, what do I do? Like, is this safe? And I just felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say, yes, like, it's safe. Like, you are good. I remember looking to her and just saying, like, I think I want to do this. Yeah. And she said, okay. And so she got this glove. Like, if you want to know what this looks like, which now I've learned, they have this, like, kitchen dishwasher, like, dishwashing dish glove. And there's, like, a little hook at the end of one of the fingers. And so, you know, she basically had to check my cervix, and then she hooked my water bag, and I felt the water just dripping out a little bit, right? So now backstory of this moment. So we decide you're going to break my water.
So my friend Dula, who lives on the road, has woken up my sleeping 10-month-old out of her sleep, driven through the rain. It's like freezing cold and raining out. And she's parked in front of Yasmina's house.
And it's like 4 a.m.
It's 4 a.m. She's parked in front of Yasmina's house, and I'm texting her. I said, hey, they're about to break her water. Right when the water breaks, I'm going to run out to your car, nurse the baby, and run back in. And she's like, great, sounds great. So I look at the birth assistant. They break Yasmina's water, and I look at the birth assistant. I said, I'm going to run as fast as I can out to I'm going to be in the front yard. Yasmina doesn't know anything that's going on.
No idea.
Because I don't want to distract you.
Right.
And like, of course, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm going to be gone for like literally 7 minutes. Yeah. That's how long I needed to nurse the baby for. So I literally sprint. Like I run to the car in the freezing rain. I run to the car, run through her front yard, jump in the car. I start nursing Meadow, nurse her on one side. And while I'm talking to Justice, I'm saying, I swear, if I walk in and that baby is born, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I'm actually not well while I'm nursing the baby. I'm like panicked because I'm like, I just like don't want to be away from you. But like you're 7 centimeters dilated in my head.
Right.
And you were perfectly calm when I left. Now, what point did you actually leave? I don't remember when you were there and when you weren't there. Like, you were on the bed. Okay. You got popped. You felt a little thing. Yeah. And then there was a little bit more of a gush, but you weren't standing up yet.
Okay. So I just like moved to my side. I did that one contraction on my side. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, why don't you pick up after I sprint out of the house in the rain?
Oh my gosh. So sad. Okay. So she has me do a contraction laying down still because again, we want to avoid any prolapse, right? Potential prolapse. Because the head was not engaged at that point. So I like labor on my side for like one contraction. And I was like, can I get up? Can I get up? I just felt like really uncomfortable. She's like, yes. So I get off at the end of this bed and I stand up. And the minute I stand up, it was like a waterfall came out. And I literally felt Ava drop down through my cervix. Like, wow, the fastest drop. And I like pulled down on Akeem. And I literally was like, she's coming. Like it went primal in 2 seconds. Akeem's like, whoa. Like he's like trying to hold me up and I'm like, she's coming. And then like my right leg starts twitching because like I have this thing in between my legs now that's like causing my leg to kind of like twitch and like freak out. And so it's crazy because like right behind here on this wall, what you don't see, I still have it up, are like just some of my like affirmations, just things I wanted to remember during labor. And one of them says, Ava Joy is coming. And what was crazy is like when I like felt her drop down my cervix, I was looking at this sticky note that says Ava Joy is coming. And so that's when I'm like, it was just like this moment where we're like all connected, you know? And so the midwife and the assistant, they like rushed to realize, okay, this baby's like dropping down, you know? And they're like getting ready to almost catch her when I was standing. And then I like stopped, like having like that pressure stop for a second. And she was like, do you want to get in the tub? Because like now is your time. I was like, yes. So I like take one step into the tub in the room, and I get in the water, and that's when I start realizing you're not in the room, right? So like I look around and I'm like, okay, now the camera needs to be on. Like this is it. This is like go time, right? Like this is best case scenario for getting my water popped. Again, the irony of this was that
your prayer the whole time was that you didn't want your water to break. Right.
And so God like totally answered that. But then the irony was that we had to break my water in order for Ava to come. And so I get in the water. I realize Meg's not in the room. And so I just literally start yelling out, Meg! 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 Like I thought you were either in the bathroom peeing or getting water or boiling water. I thought you like were just in a different room, and I wanted you to know like this is happening. So I'm like, Meg! Meg! And he was looking at me like, I don't know where Meg is. The midwife and the midwife assistant also looked at me like kind of like, I don't tell you, like we're here, like we have to be here, like baby's coming. And I'm just like, Meg! 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 And so then I think somehow someone's telling me you're not here right now. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, and then that's when I'm like, I don't even know how I'm thinking about this, but I mean, I guess I do. But like, I'm like, okay, Akeem, can you, like the camera was like sitting right there.
It sure was.
And I was like, can you just like turn it on? And he's like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm like, oh, okay, just like get your phone out. Like I need this recorded because like I promised Zara I was going to show her a video, and like, I just want to keep it. Yeah. And so, so Akeem like takes out his phone, puts on like the selfie mode, and like we prop it up on the corner of the bed. And so then I have like my first contraction, and I push her, I push, and I feel that's when I feel like the ring of fire. And I actually like put my hand down there, and I felt what that experience was of having the ring of fire. It's a very like sea creature experience. Oh yeah. It's very under the sea. Yes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's not her head. Surely that's not her head, right? No, that's not her head. That's just like my ring of fire. It's like your vag walls basically like coming out and making space for this like baby to come through, which is crazy. So I have that first contraction, and I'm like in between my contractions, I'm like, breathing, and I'm like taking in, and it was actually like this part was probably the most peaceful part of the whole thing. Like it's crazy. That's like pressure almost releases internally, and like it's just calm.
You just know you're at the end.
It's like literally calm.
It's like the eye of the storm.
Yeah, like this internal calm, which was really cool. And so then you'll like see, maybe we'll have like a clip of this or something. We'll try to show the video, but like at one point I'm like standing there, I'm like, Meg, where's Meg? Like literally, like I'm so confused. Where's Meg? Meg's supposed to be here. So then
this is gonna forever be the top 3 worst moments of my life. I'd say that very seriously. Oh top 3.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then I was like, what was something that surprised me? I was so surprised by how calm it was in between the 2 contractions, like that there's actually like you get like 2 minutes of a break. It's not like it's not this like hectic thing. It's actually like there was this break where I could just breathe and like recoup. And I kind of feel like I wasn't able to enjoy that as much as I could because I kind of felt like there was something wrong. Like, why am I not contracting again? Right. Like, why isn't this happening really fast, And so I was kind of like asking my midwife, like, do I like push? Like, what do I do right now? Like, this is like so much time, like I feel like I shouldn't be like this calm and like peaceful. And she's like, you're good if you want to push, like you can push, like if you feel a nudge, you can, or you can wait for the contraction. So I kind of just started to like breathe down. And so you'll hear me in the video. It's like, like there's just like this breathing down, and I can feel her moving out more. And what's crazy is actually I felt her wiggle in my,
I know, isn't that crazy?
She was wiggling in my
that is crazy
canal,
which actually like is like them getting to like a good position. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So when her head came out, I actually had my hand down there, and I was literally like rubbing the top of her head, all this hair, which she's fallen asleep in. Megan, she's literally, look at you, Tanti. You're just the best. You're just like rocking her with your long, beautiful legs. That's so nice. My legs are not long for that. They're not long enough for this. She has my legs. She's got these like stubby little legs.
Her legs are like as big as like
you're gonna be the one girl that like actually has my body type. So I was like, literally, like, you'll also hear me in the video where I'm like, I feel her head. And I like chuckled, you know, like, or I feel like her hair, and I like kind of like laughed, and I was like literally rubbing her forehead, and I could feel the top of her nose and like the side of her ear, and I was just like rubbing her and talking to her and like connecting with her, and it like definitely felt like it brought like that oxytocin.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think that's how I also know she was posterior, right? Because I'm like feeling the front of her face.
Yeah, and you weren't like reaching behind.
No.
So she was sunny side up.
She was on the, yeah, so she was sunny side up, which would explain probably a few things that we were experiencing during the labor. And then the second contraction, I pushed her out. So she came out, she, you know, came into the water, and I think my midwife pushed her like under my leg. I was like, arms are up, my legs were open wide, like I'm like leaning over. And so she pushed her under my leg, and Akeem kind of helped me bring her up.
And this is when I walk through the front door.
Yep. So then I like pull her on my chest. I see her, I lean back, and then Meg literally walks. She lets out her first cry, and Meg literally comes to the door, and I was like, Meg, I was crying out for you. Where were you?
When I tell you this is one of the worst moments of my life, and the best moment of my life as well.
The bitter and the sweet.
The bitter was way stronger than the sweet for me in that moment. I don't know. I mean, you'll know if you've ever been at a birth. That was like the worst case scenario just like happened right in front of my face. I entered into a level of shock I did not know existed. When people talk about going into shock, I can actually say I know what they mean now, because seeing you there holding your baby
after having walked through the whole
like 9 hours of labor,
9 hours of laboring with me,
was unbelievable. Of course, I was like really happy for you, because like the outcome was we want to have a beautiful home birth with a healthy baby. And I walk in to see a beautiful home birth with a healthy baby. But knowing that happened within that 7 minutes that I left, that you went from like, and so we find out later that she was actually 10 centimeters dilated. She wasn't 7 centimeters. So if I would have known that, of course, I would not have like left. I didn't think that she was going to literally birth the baby in 7 minutes. I know that your cervix can dilate quickly, but I still like, obviously, like sometimes you can get stuck at that time for a little bit. And even with Eliana, like, which I was there for that birth.
Yeah, that was like a 30-minute pushing.
You were pushing
session
for a while.
Yeah.
Nothing in me told me that I wasn't going to be able to have those 7 minutes in the car.
Totally.
But I see her. I try. But all that keeps going.
It's almost like you knew, though. It's almost like your discernment. Because I feel like you were like sitting in there like, I really hope this doesn't happen when it's happening. It's almost like, I don't know. It's like,
I wouldn't say it was fear. I think it was just like my biggest fear.
I
was just like, I was just like, I was like, this better not happen right now.
Yeah.
But I remember what kept going through my head was like, get a picture of her, get your camera. So I just like pulled out my camera, and I'm just trying to like get footage of you, but I could not process. I just like happening? I was so deeply upset with myself. I honestly just like kind of like fell into self-hatred for a second. I was like, babe, I am the biggest idiot on planet Earth. Like, I just like hated myself so much for a moment. It was like deep like loathing of like, I could not believe that I made a choice that landed me in that moment. I just was so upset with myself. I was so upset with myself. So I'm trying to pull it together. Of course, I'm not wanting to take anything away from you. Oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, you did a good job. Take a picture. Oh, good job. I'm like literally just like trying to like keep it together for you.
But you caught really cute videos, or really caught really cute photos of us.
Yes. And I just wanted to be able to give you something. And then when you finally I help you get into bed, and you're saying, I'm feeling a little bit dizzy. And I was like, yeah, me too. I get you into bed.
Yeah.
And then you said something that made me go into a math mode in my head, where I started calculating the times.
Okay.
That is when I started fainting.
Maybe it was like a 7-minute moment between they broke my water and her birth.
Yeah, like you like got into bed and you said something like, I was calling out for you, and I was telling you where I was, and then I realized if I would have just waited 30 more seconds, I would have been here. That was like one of the last thoughts I had before I woke up to Akeem saying, Meg, and I had quite literally fainted.
You fainted.
I quite literally fainted. Like, I don't even know how long I was out for. I just remember like, I was dreaming.
Yeah. I remember when I got in the bed, I looked at you and you were gone. Like, I saw it in you. I was like, oh, Meg's really like upset. Like, I could see it in your eyes and your face. Like, you were white, you were downcast, you were like looking away. I just saw you had disassociated.
Oh yeah.
So I saw that, but like I'm holding my baby, right? So I like look down, I'm looking at Ava, and all of a sudden I look up and you're falling. And I didn't know why you were falling. I didn't even realize that like you were falling until the midwives were like, oh my God. And they're like trying to like kind of catch you / pick you up and trying to get you to like come back and you're like looking like you're just in a daze.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, you just fainted. And
I just remember Kate being like, "You okay, Meg?
Yeah.
You okay?" And I was trying to pull out earplugs because I couldn't hear anything.
Yes, yeah.
So I was like touching my ears, like trying to, and then I was like, "I fainted," and he's like, "Yep." And then the midwife was like, "You're the last person I thought would faint at something like this." And in my head, I was like, I'm not fainting because of birth.
Yeah,
I'm fainting from extreme grief and shock. Also, like lack of sleep and being in the freezing cold water and then like not eating and drinking anything and all the things.
Yes.
But mainly just the thought, like I just was like I've like never been so upset with myself in my life.
Babe,
like I just can't even. I know that. Like and I don't want you to carry what I'm carrying. Like I don't carry what I'm carrying. You're carrying. We're carrying it. Both don't do it. I so did not want to take anything away, but like just the level of like, but
I know.
After I got good sleep. After I went home and I got sleep, I was able to be like, no, I was there for Ava's birth. I just wasn't there for like the crowning and the sliding out. But I was there for the birth, and I can like, I will not let like missing that thing
take away from the whole thing. Yeah. Because there were so many beautiful moments of that night, like that are so special to me. Yeah. You know, like just again, like I mentioned earlier, like the moments where like I would be coming in and out of contractions, and we would just be like worshiping together or praying together, or just like being in that. Yeah. Just being in that space together. Like it was just so special. Yeah, it was. So special.
And you didn't tear?
I didn't. I just like my skin teared just a little bit, but I didn't have to get stitches or anything. Like there was no muscle tear.
Dude, I just as I'm saying tear, I had a dream last night that I had a fifth baby again, and then I didn't tear.
Wow.
Sorry, that's like a total sidebar. I'm trying to take away from this moment.
That would be redemptive for you.
Came in, I've torn every single birth.
Yeah.
So you didn't tear. You get out of the tub. You're great. You get in the bed. No postpartum hemorrhaging. You delivered your placenta in the tub, right? You delivered your placenta in the tub. Mm-hmm. Placenta looked great.
Yeah.
It was
huge. Yeah. My God.
Yeah.
These are huge.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't think there was any knots in the cord.
You had a big placenta. You had a really good intact water. Like there's a lot of good things.
And she was 9 pounds. 9 pounds,
baby.
2 ounces. So
9
like
pound club.
Yeah. And it's, it's funny because they were saying she was measuring big, and she felt big, and like I felt big, and like it was like, it was a lot. But she's my biggest because Eliana was 8 pounds 3 ounces, and that was the biggest I had. So for her to be 9 pounds 2 ounces is huge. Yeah. And when she was on me, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, she feels like a 0 to 3 monther. Like I can just put her right into those pajamas. Like I felt how big she was. That was really cool and surprising to me. And then and like again, just home birth is just such a gift, just to be able to go right into my bed and just stay in my bed for days. It's just amazing. And my midwife came to me for like 3 weeks. It's like I didn't have to leave. I didn't have to like schlep my baby around in like a car seat and like figure that all out while I'm bleeding and like figure out nursing. System.
It's so weird to be like, it's so weird for people to be like, don't lift anything, get as much rest as you can, don't stress. But our system is set up where you have to like leave your bed, stress out about like getting ready, going places, being asked a million questions, like getting in and out of the car, like, even driving postpartum. I mean, remember driving with your baby?
Yeah, it's awful.
We should not be
behind
like
scary.
the wheel.
It's like dangerous.
I feel like I'm dangerous when I'm driving postpartum. I should not be behind the wheel for the first 3 weeks.
100%. Agreed.
And your baby Ava latched, which was like a huge answer to prayer. She
latched and like almost like she came out like suckling. Like she came out like ready to go. Look at her just sleeping on your legs. Does this make your heart so happy?
So happy. This is like all I ever wanted.
You're like a little baby whisperer. But yeah, so that was like really interesting to see her come out like just like ready to go, like very aggressive, and her like need to suckle. And I feel like she has like a good like tongue pattern. And so that was a whole nother thing of like, okay, what are we gonna expect? Like what to expect? The transition to having 4 has been smooth so far. I think I see the grace in like all these little different areas, like whether it be breastfeeding, even like
your confidence is just so different coming into this baby too.
It is like the way I was after Zara, I was a hot mess. Even Ellie was like still like kind of pretty unsure of myself. But then like Zion, there's something that shifted there. And then this one, I just feel like I'm a professional. I'm like, what's one more? Right. Like I'm this is what I do.
Literally.
I feel like I'm starting to feel that like innate, like I feel like oh yeah, this is what I was created to do.
Exactly. I literally feel the same way. I'm like, that's why when people talk about like making like, people joke around about getting like a vasectomy or like making like a permanent decision, I'm like, I literally cannot, like while I'm fertile and while I'm in this phase of life, I'm like, I cannot make a permanent decision about capping off my family. Like I feel like this is my purpose. Like it's almost like we've been brainwashed, but in a good way, like nature wash. Like this is like what nature intended us to be.
Totally.
Reproducing.
I feel that more now after having a fourth than I've ever felt, where it was like, oh, it's like, this is like what I understand why women have like 6 to 11 kids, because you're like, this is just like what your body is supposed, like it's like you move into this like rhythmic pattern of just reproduction.
Right.
It's really interesting.
It's weird how it just makes sense all of a sudden. I feel similarly. I feel like if resources were unlimited as far as like money and like home and stuff, then it would be like a no-brainer that we would like keep going. But I feel like that also makes me question, like with the Lord, like, wow, what am I putting my like hope, comfort and stuff in?
That's true.
I don't know.
Good point.
I got lots of just like internal questions after my fourth of being like, is this how
much of this is like my my flesh and like my desire for comfort versus self-preservation. Like I know for me, I would really like a couple of years
same
to remineralize. And you know, I think this last pregnancy was so hard, like physically. Like, I mean, I felt really terrible. Honestly, I really did. And I'm like, I haven't had any time to I just had 2 other ones. So I would like a couple years, but I could see myself.
And now you feel like you have really taken care of yourself well. You are on your supplement train. Tell us what your supplements you're taking.
Yeah, I'm so proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too.
I'm so proud of myself. Same. Again, I'm really a thriving winter postpartum girly. This is what it is. I think having babies in the spring and summer is really hard because like I love to be outside. I love to be socializing. FOMO. And it's been great because like no one's doing anything. And it's a very like be home, be in your family, be restful. And so I've just like really embraced my home and I've really embraced rest. And I've just become like a warm drinking girly. You know, I really loved your like suggestions of postpartum stuff from that one episode that we did. Having that you had several winter postpartums, most of yours have been, I was like, oh, that's really good. So I like made sure I got myself like nice soft pajamas that I could like lounge in, button down that I could lounge in. Like I've never been like a warm drinker. Like I literally kind of hate warm drinks, but like I just have found so much comfort in like a warm cuppa, warm cup of milk with my everyday dose. And I've really enjoyed actually drinking everyday dose every day. So I've actually not been drinking regular espresso, which, you know, for me, that's like my daily hit was like a nice latte from wherever I could get it from. But just being home and like making it from home, I really, I don't know, like.
And the L-theanine in there, like there's all these like calming things. You know,
so there's L-theanine and like the lion's mane and I've just really enjoyed having that. Like I'll have it like twice a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And that's been like just like this, which is
the equivalent to 1 cup of coffee, which is great for postpartum.
Yeah, that's great.
You're breaking it up.
That's great. And I feel so good. Like I've noticed how much better I feel actually not having 2 shots of espresso in the morning or in the afternoon. And so that's been like my nice little thing. And then I have really found my like key to getting nutrients in or like vitamins and minerals through tinctures. So I have a postpartum tincture from Earthly that someone gave me.
I love that one. I think
it's got like turmeric,
alfalfa,
black pepper, a few other. Tastes terrible, but if you put it in water, like a bunch of water, it's whatever. So like I literally just my water bottle, I'm just like putting tinctures all over. So I have the postpartum tincture from Earthly, which I think has helped my bleeding. I bled for like 3 full weeks last week. Like that 4th week was like spotting. So that's pretty good. The alfalfa helps with the bleeding. That's not that in that tincture.
It's in the tincture. Okay.
And then I also have been continuing with my buoy hydration minerals, just like trace minerals and that.
Shilajit?
That's like my next add-on. Nice. I want to get, that's like my order like this week is I want to get Shilajit in. And then I've really been on I actually just added my vitamin E back into the mix. So vitamin E, I actually want to read some of the benefits of vitamin E because it's pretty amazing. I got mine from Life Blood, BLUD, but this is like, just has really good benefits. Like not only, you know a lot about vitamin E, obviously with like helping with PUFAs, helps like.
It helps oxidative stress.
Right. And which so I have high oxidative stress.
Yes. And that's the scary part about seed oils is that it's rancid. And so it creates a lot of oxidative stress when it comes into the body.
Right. So it protects from that. It also decreases excessive estrogen and it balances out your hormones, and also helps with increasing fertility. Not that I need that support at this moment, but I do need the support in just getting excessive estrogen out.
One of the greatest things about vitamin E that people don't realize is how affordable it is.
Yes, it's so
It's
affordable.
a very cheap supplement. Like you could probably get it for like $12 for a month's supply.
Yeah.
And you have people that are like shelling out mad money for these supplements. And I'm like, vitamin E is one of the reasons, actually, if you're looking for the way that I dose vitamin E is through my freshly milled grain, because fresh grain has really high amounts of vitamin E in it.
Really?
But as we talk about the oxidative stress, right? Like when things, like PUFAs, for instance, the reason why they're really bad is because they go, like when you create that oil, it goes bad really fast. Grain, the flour, goes bad and loses its nutrients incredibly fast. So when you mill your own grain and then use it and consume it within a few days, you're getting all of that vitamin E in.
Yeah, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
If I was super crunchy, that's probably the way I would give it too.
But
I'm in tinctures. But it also helps with insulin resistance. And that was like a big thing that I'm just, obviously my pregnancy showed me that, but I think even I'm probably a little bit more prone to. So I'm just trying to be very like, what can I do to support my insulin resistance? So I've been taking the vitamin E tincture. I've also been hardcore on my vitamin C, especially like the first like 3 or 4 weeks. I have this vitamin C powder that also has like micro minerals in it. So it's got like magnesium, potassium, zinc. It's got a few. It's a really good one that I got from my chiropractor. And so it's a powder. Love it. So all this is going into my water. And then I also was taking like some vitamin D3/K2 droplets in my water. Have you been doing that too?
I just started from Just Ingredients.
Oh, nice.
That's where I got mine from. But yeah,
mine's from Mom Thorn.
I've seen a lot of conflicting data.
So much conflicting data. That's why I'm surprised that you're doing it.
I know. I just figured I want to experience it myself and see if it actually helps with our immune systems this winter.
Okay. I love that. I feel great on it.
Good.
I have felt great because I was actually taking that towards the end of my pregnancy and it was really helping on those
it's
last couple of weeks.
It's one of those things where it's like, of course I'd rather get vitamin D from the sun, of course, but if I can't.
If it is 25 degrees outside, I'm not getting sun.
What's the bigger risk? Like taking this source that could possibly create some calcification or not taking it, but experiencing the negative effects of being really low in vitamin D right now.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like doing an experiment. Which is why I haven't posted about it on my channel, because I never post about things before I do it myself.
Yeah, that's good.
And so I'm like, I want to like run a little experiment and see how vitamin D kind of changes the game for me.
There's so much conflicting information.
You gotta take it with K2 though.
You have to take it with K2. And so, and again, I saw someone else. They're like, if you're going to take vitamin D, make sure it's D3 with K2. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's just what it is. That's just what I need to do. So I have been using that.
It's actually a hormone. Vitamin D is actually a hormone.
Right. So that's why. So it's annoying because like all my midwives were always like, you need to take vitamin D. But then I'm like hearing in the pro-metabolic world and just on social media, don't take vitamin D, which we're going to talk about that another time too. But so anyways, I've decided I'm doing it. I'm doing it for now until the sun is out more and it's not so cold. So
Akeem really should be on vitamin D. Why? Because he's half black.
Why?
And when you have more melanin in your skin, it's much harder for you to absorb vitamin D from the sun.
Interesting.
So like Cam, who's a redhead, my husband's a redhead, he absorbs vitamin D really quickly because he's from Nordic descent where you don't get a lot of sun, whereas Akeem, who is from African descent, is like his,
it would be slower. That makes sense.
The equator. Yeah. So it really, it's a protectant for Akeem, but it means it's a lot harder. And if you look at African Americans in America or in these like northern places, their vitamin D levels are super, super, super low.
Interesting.
And if you look at the COVID trend, sorry to get on this, like, but you look at people who died from COVID and you look at their vitamin D levels.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually think Akeem is taking
Good.
D3, K2, because he like listens to this one podcast, so he's taking a few things, and that's one of them. But I'll make sure he's on that. And then those are all of the tinctures that I can think of. Oh, and then I added echinacea golden seed.
Remember golden seal? Yeah.
Golden seal.
I told you to do that for your
Yes. So because there's been like, stuffy noses and it's been winter. There's been like my kids have had stuffy noses. So anytime I have felt like anything, like I've just been like on those. So like the vitamin C and the echinacea, all that's in my water,
vitamin C and echinacea are so helpful and so like easy to find and affordable, and if people knew how powerful they could be at lowering the duration of illnesses, everyone would be taking it.
So anytime I have had like a little sore throat or a little stuffy nose or a little cough, like I've literally taken that and it's never become anything.
That's amazing.
So I feel the best I have felt in a long time, and I'm 5 weeks postpartum, so that's kind of crazy to me. And then I also have these prenatals that are a bunch of, it's called Birthright, and it's like oyster, liver. Nice. It's got like everything in it.
That's amazing. Oyster and liver in the same one. That is what's up.
Yeah, it's like an actual like prenatal, like ancestral prenatal, where they put all of like the things that you would want to get separately into one. Yeah, I'll show you what them are. So
that's amazing.
So sometimes I take those, but I'm definitely taking, my water is like my source of minerals. So postpartum has been really good though. Yeah, I'm really happy. I feel like I've figured out co-sleeping too. Like that's always been an adjustment for me. And like, so breastfeeding through night, like we're sleeping pretty well.
Amen.
So I just feel like the grace of God and the kindness of God. And this was what I was going to say earlier, my kids, so Zara goes to school, but like I have my 2.5-year-old and my 1.5-year-old at home with me. And the last 2 weeks, I've just been reacclimating back into being like the full-time household, you know, person. And it's been going really well with them. Like they are, again, I just feel the kindness of God and them being a year apart, them having each other, them playing really well, just being two peas in a pod. And just, if I'm home, it's just easy. Like it's just been easy with them. And so, not that there aren't moments where I have to navigate like breastfeeding and their needs, but it's just gone a lot smoother than I truly feared that it was going to.
I love that they have each other. That's what's great about having kids close together.
Yes.
Is that like when you're kind of down and out, like I feel like if you just had Zion and the baby, that he would like want you.
100%.
He'd be trying to climb on you. That's what you did with Ellie and Zion.
Yes.
Like Ellie wanted you when you had Zion.
And same with Zara with Ellie.
Yes. But like they have each other.
Yeah.
That's the gift of siblings.
Exactly. And so I'm just like, wow, God, you really like, you worked this all out. Thank you,
Jesus.
You know, so I'm feeling really grateful. And so that's my birth story.
Wow.
Ava Joy, born 12/11. We couldn't get her on 12/12. I'm still upset about that. I'm still like, did I do that? I have had to grieve. Like, did I mess this up by us having sex the night before? If I had just waited one more day, maybe I could have had like a 12/12.
Be strategic by that time.
I know, but then and then I told another friend that I was like trying to be strategic, and then she was like, "Girl, I did it every day leading up to my labor, and it was fine." And then I was like, you know what? It should be fine. And then I thought, well, if it's going down tomorrow, I want to be able to have it one more time, you know? So anyways.
And
12/11.
I also think that the one last thing I could say that helped you with your postpartum, which I'm really proud of you, and I feel like people should too if they can, is that you got help. You have a babysitter that comes, once a week? Twice a week?
Yep. So we just decided to hire someone super part-time, couple hours a week, for them to come twice a week. And so like, this is her second week, so I'm trying to figure it out. But like today I have her putting together a recipe for me in a crock pot. So that's going to save my life.
I love how you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Makes me so happy.
Thank you. And I have her like folding like 2 baskets of laundry. I've been like really trying to get on my laundry game.
Yes. And then you have Candy that comes every other week.
Yeah. So just like hiring help. And I think for at least like the first 3 to 6 months, I think this will be really helpful in just like navigating this, because she's going to change so much.
Yeah. And I just like want more moms to understand like that it's okay to do that. It's actually really helpful. And like one of the things that Cam and I talked about like a few years ago, I listened to this amazing financial podcast, and this person was like, your goal is not to not spend money, is to spend money on the things you want to spend money on. So if you think about like, you know, people spend money on therapy or on date nights or on like going out to eat because they're overwhelmed, or ordering Uber Eats because they're overwhelmed, or all of these different things. It's like, okay, why don't you sit down with your money and be like, okay, if I could hire help, if I could hire a babysitter who could also help me meal prep, that actually might be cheaper than ordering out food or going out to eat. It's like getting a cleaner to come every 2 weeks might be cheaper than marriage counseling. Think about it. You spend $150 on 1 hour of marriage counseling. You can spend $80 to have someone deep clean your bathrooms twice a month, and then you don't have to be like, you know,
so resentful.
Yeah,
and
forget
upset.
your husband.
Totally.
Like really like figure out like how much money you can budget to put these little like and then like the space that you have in your brain to be able to like enjoy this postpartum is really awesome.
Totally. Amen. Yeah, I feel good about just bringing in the support. I'm not afraid to say I need help, and I know my limits, and I know that like I'm not a person. I'm not like this like Energizer Bunny like type A mom. I'm definitely a type B mom. And so for me to like know my limits and like try to find some solutions to thrive, because like what I hate is like how that translates me into, number one, a person, like how I show up mentally and emotionally every day, and how I show up for my kids in that. Because like when I try to 100% be like the deep cleaner of the household, the cook of the household, which really sucks the life out of me in this season. I can't wait to find joy in that again. Yeah. And also like take care of like 3 children who are under the age of 2.5, who are also in diapers, who still definitely need me, plus my 6.5-year-old. I just know I'm not able to do it all well and thrive. So like these little lifelines for me give me that like space to like avoid burnout, honestly.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why I always tell moms to like get to know yourself in the sense of like figure out what your highest values are, your greatest strengths and your weaknesses. And then create a plan. Yeah. Because you are very self-aware. You're like, I need to see someone at least. I need to have some friendship time, which is like part of your soul. 100%. Like honor your soul. Yeah. You need to see your friends like at least once or twice a week. Yes. You hate being in the kitchen now.
Yes, I really do.
So like hire that out. You know what I mean? Like get to know what your value like right now, like your mental health and your peace. Yes. So staying home. Yeah. So that means that friends are gonna have to come visit you. Yeah. Which your real friends are willing to do. Totally. So it's like just get deep with yourself, like figure out what you need. Yeah. Yeah. And you've done that. And I feel like that's really benefited you.
Thank you. I agree. Yeah. And I think the challenge for me in this season of postpartum is going to be being mindful of like the peace meter. Yeah. You know, like I think whether it be like internal peace or like external peace, like I think I do have the habit of like overdoing it and pushing and like just doing too much. And I've seen in the last 5 weeks of just being home, like doing less actually creates more peace. And like continue to honor that as I feel like my capacity growing to like get out and do things more, like to remember to stay, to stay slow, to stay restful, to stay strategic and mindful of like how much I'm doing and extending myself, because it will take away the peace if I'm not staying mindful. So
extroverted problems, girl.
Extroverted problems,
sanguine problems, sister.
So thank you for tuning in to my birth story. If you have any questions,
drop them in the comments. We'll be linking some of the things that Yasmina has been taking. Make sure that you like and subscribe and share with your friends. The more traction we get for this podcast, the more likely that this podcast will keep existing. So if you really love it, please share it. And I'm excited for our next episode, our ins and outs of 2025.
Yes.